Four comedians are also real good friends, working on jokes, the fun never ends. They're asking each other, is this anything?
It looks a little better.
All right.
And then if there's anything that you guys don't like, you can let me know.
Let's see.
And I think I spelled your name right, Anthony. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see.
Four comedians are also real good friends, working on jokes, the fun never ends. They're asking each other, is this anything? Our faces were on the side, so I couldn't see what it said, but I know it wasn't.
Oh, what?
Mango Las Vegas?
Mango Las Vegas.
Mango Las Vegas? That's great. That's hilarious.
Funny.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Well, that's a shame. I did a real one, of course.
Nice.
But it's the same, like, font and color scheme.
I didn't. Oh,
Name
did you?
spelled correctly.
I totally missed the gag. Even when you guys were talking about it afterwards, I was like, "What is he talking about?"
Oh,
I
play
was
it again. I want to.
yeah. Can you do it again?
Let's play it again.
All right. You guys ready?
Ready?
Yeah. Four comedians are also real good friends, working on jokes, the fun never ends. They're asking each other, is this anything?
It was still funny, even though I knew it was coming.
That's great. It looks awesome.
It was a long brainstorming session with me and Kirsten. What the perfect funny name would be. For a while, I was stuck on Dusty Britches. I was like, I kind of like Dusty Britches, but I think there's a better one out there.
I think Mango Las Vegas was the right choice.
I think so too. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'm wearing sunglasses in the shot, so it's
it could be.
Is that Mango Las Vegas? Is
It
that
does kind of look like his name is Mango Las Vegas.
Oh, who invited Mango? I didn't know we had a
Mango
guest
Las
today.
Vegas.
Oh,
At
Mango.
your service. I'm done with my residency over in Vegas, so I thought I'd pop in.
Oh, does your last name change for wherever you are?
Yes.
Ooh, is it Mango, Colorado now or Mango, Denver?
I guess Mango, Colorado sounds better.
Mango
I like
Colorado
definitely sounds better.
Sounds a lot better. Mango Colorado.
And then you don't have to change it for every city you're in.
Right.
If you move around in Colorado.
That's true, because if I'm back in New York, I don't have to be Mango, Brooklyn. I could just be Mango, New York.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and a character is born. Guys.
Now I have to release a fake album under the name Mango Las Vegas.
Can you reshoot A Star Is Born, but you're Lady Gaga and it's a character is born?
Yeah. You think I'm kidding? I'm going to work on an album. At least a 3-song EP.
Nice.
I'm working on it.
So at Steve's show, he was pimping me a little bit, and somebody asked, "Who are your favorite comedians?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I have a podcast coming out probably Monday with 3 of my favorite comedians." And I even said the name, and then I was like, and also we just found out that Seinfeld is doing this book. But we're just going to see it and see what happens. If he sues us, there's no way we look like the bad guys if Seinfeld sues us. So we're going to see what happens. And then Steve outroed it by going, make sure you check out Brett's podcast, Getting Sued by Seinfeld. That was a great secondary name.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Getting sued by Seinfeld.
Let him sue us. We'll get in the papers.
Honestly, what's going to happen is nothing.
Yeah.
His book is going to come out. Our podcast is going to do its thing. Then neither of the twain shall meet.
I actually hope that is the case, but I think once again it's a win-win even if it does. And he also is in a pretty petty place based off of his op-eds.
Article. I think it's going around because I have just been salting the earth on all of my social media with like my fucking my political hackles are fucking up at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
Like fucking taking no prisoners. You guys know Lou Perez?
No.
We the Internet?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Okay.
I can see why you don't, but I do think that guy is very funny.
I'm sure he is. It just
But
his
he's like a
brand
libertarian,
of,
basically.
Yeah, his brand of both sides centrism just really fucking ruffled my feathers. And he just posted a thing about like Rand Paul today, being like, Rand Paul's against no-knock warrants, right? And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. He what's this? What's that say?
What hackles are? They're erectile hairs along the back of a dog or other animal. I didn't know what hackles were.
Oh, sweet. I'm really glad I used that correctly then.
Yeah.
I thought that was I thought that was like an own, Rob.
No, I was
thought you
trying
were
to
like,
own you. I was trying to teach myself in the group in case.
Sorry, Jarret.
But it did say erectile hairs, which made me laugh. I was like,
That is pretty
"Uh-oh.
funny.
I don't know if Jarrett's got the right word. My hackles were up. I'm like, your pubic hairs
You
were
are.
standing on
I
it?
am so turned on that my pubic hairs have straightened.
They've unfurled. Like,
My aggravation is aroused.
Yeah, so I just basically went off on him because I'm also like working on a video where I go through the short RNC speeches and just like comment on them. And I'm working on Rand Paul's right now, and then Lou Perez puts up this thing defending Rand Paul, and I'm like really? We're gonna lower? Why don't we lower the bar for these assholes even more? Oh, this guy's against a policy. This guy's against a thing that he wrote a message bill about. Nobody voted for it. No-knock warrants are still a thing. And he's up there supporting the president who is saying that police should have the right to tear gas anybody and fucking murder whoever. So yeah, let's give this guy a fucking round of applause for his message bill about no-knock warrants. Mm-hmm. You know? So this is the mood I'm in, guys. I'm coming in hot.
Can't wait till it's your turn. Hear what you got for us.
So yeah, I don't know if that's anything, guys. Just let me know.
this next joke is called HR 1873.
I was the first time I tried talking about politics in my stand-up. It really was just like, do you guys ever see like the Lenny Bruce stuff when he started just going through his like trial transcripts?
Oh, wow.
And there was no jokes. He was just like reading like the things that the other lawyer would say, and he would be like, "But that's like not what the actual law is." And then he would like bring the law up, and he would be like, "The law actually says this," and people would be like, "Boo." You know, that's what my early political stand-up was, where I'm just like, "These fucking assholes."
I don't know much about Lenny Bruce, and you know what? I'll come out right now and say that I've never cared for or respected the quote unquote history of comedy, and I know that some people think that's like anathema to them, and I don't disrespect their point of view at all, but part of what I enjoy about comedy so much is the ephemeral nature of it, where it speaks to a time period that you lived in, and you sort of have to be aware of what was coming beforehand to understand what was happening then. And really, really good comedy, in my mind, would just turn to dust after some point, because you're like, oh, it was just so funny because it was exactly what the culture needed at that point, was this thing or that joke or that sketch or that movie to come along. And then maybe 20 years from then, you're just like, I'm not really sure why that's funny, or who cares? It doesn't need to be. And I just, with that mindset, and also just a general lack of interest, I never really decided to be like, Lenny Bruce, I'm gonna Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor. I just never really dove into anyone's canon. Didn't care. Didn't bother me.
Well, Eddie Murphy is a great example of what you're talking about. I mean, maybe in 1981 or whatever year, 81 or 82, when Delirious came out. I mean, there's a ton of that stuff that people do not want to hear now. Right. I mean, his opener.
Yes. And then it was revisited.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm the same way, Rob, but I do just want to know the major points of why was this person so special? So, and it's usually just groundbreaking. I watched Jammin' in New York with George Carlin, and I'm like, this is brilliant. It doesn't make me laugh at all.
Yeah.
There's a style, the types of jokes, the structure of them. But what the things he's saying, I think about them all the time, and they're really funny. The idea that the Earth just created humans because it needed plastic. Like there are really funny concepts in there, but the way he does it doesn't. But I understand at the time it was just like crazy. Even though I'm not like, oh, that defines me or anything like that. I think if you get too caught up in that, you just become some outdated person who isn't. They aren't paying attention to what's going on. Before now, they're paying attention to something that's outdated.
Don't you see that? Don't you see that when you there's like a newer comic, or even not even a newer comic, someone who's been in it for a while, and you can just tell like you haven't moved past Bill Hicks.
Yeah,
Like you
absolutely.
haven't moved past, whatever, Dennis Leary or something. Like
Right.
that's the end of your comedy education, and therefore you're doing comedy that is a clone of something that was only good then.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys who start like in their 40s or something like that, and they're doing Billy Crystal on a one-man show. Like just their impression of what comedy is just it's just so outdated, and they're trying to start in the it's a strange experience.
That's interesting.
Does anybody else think that Brett's mic is a little hot?
Oh yeah, I did a show.
I
last
think
night.
Brett sounds sexy, and
Yeah.
voice is
I didn't
deep and
mind.
It's like it's just butter, but
My
it is a little
hackles are
loud.
so erect right now.
I'll turn it down so you guys.
Anybody else got
so
some
you guys can
hard
control
hackles right
yourselves.
now?
Is that a little bit
So
better?
hard. I think so. Let me hear everybody.
Yeah, that's better.
This is me
And
talking.
as for his just being too sexy, how's that? Is that better?
Actually, that made it worse. Now my
It's
nipples.
worse for me also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I just came.
I'll just go back to normal. Rob staring at his. Oh, he's blowing up.
I was
Quick
quiet. I was putting it to bed.
question.
I see.
Oh, he's done with the bit.
Yeah, no, I think that what was it? I think that that's a totally fine way to be also, Rob. But I do think that if you're interested, it is cool to see, try to put yourself in that place and be like, oh, okay. And also the things that hold up seem so much more amazing. If you watch sketches from like your show of shows or, certain bits in the Marx Brothers or
Monty Python.
Monty Python.
Yeah, Monty Python.
Well, it's interesting. I have a separate argument for that. That there are jokes. I mean, you could watch, the Three Stooges, right? That the physical comedy and some of the drier stuff, like your Monty Python and your absurd stuff, that stuff will stand the test of time because it's timeless. We're not speaking to a period, and that's just its own category, and that will. You can always kind of revisit that stuff. But I think some of the sharper, cultural and political humor has like a necessary shelf life because you're just like, what was going on? You're like, you had to be there. This was happening,
Yeah. Well, anything that Bill Maher has ever done, nobody can. Like, can you imagine watching one of his shows from 10 years ago?
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's
Like,
interesting.
they didn't follow any of these rules.
I've actually got a couple of old episodes of a political podcast that I like a lot that I specifically have saved from right before coronavirus hit. Because I was like, I want to know how we were talking about this back then. And we're not talking about comedy here, obviously, but I just think that that like putting yourself back in there, like where we're talking about the things that should be happening right now in order to prevent the catastrophe that we are currently living through. It's really fascinating. But now we're just talking about like why history is interesting as opposed to old comedians,
Well, I've seen some of a lot of comics. I don't want to make it sound like I avoid these people. That I've seen some Bill Cosby, some Bill Hicks, some and I have all the Bills, all the
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, Bill Burr, all just throughout the whole stretch.
Bill Carlin.
That urban comic Dollar Bill.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
Bill Bellamy.
That's another one.
Emo Billups.
Will
Emo Billups.
But I have not. I would never judge a comic for not doing a deep dive, and I've never like went throughout the whole canon. I never had
same.
a period of time where I was like just obsessed and I was like, I have to know
Same.
everything. And there's some benefits to that. There's some drawbacks to that, I think, as well. And in knowing kind of like how, that gave birth to this, and I see how that, throughout my lifetime, I'm very well versed. I'm like, I feel I've followed the comedy conversation pretty closely, and I can see how, some of these big flash points, whether it be your Dane Cooks or your Louis C.K.'s or whatever, and how that sort of infiltrated the culture and all the other comics, and who started copying these people as they had their huge meteoric rises and successes. But I haven't gotten back to the 80s, 70s, and 60s like that.
I think it's weird when comics say that they don't watch comedy because they don't want to. I guess they don't want to steal jokes or something.
Or they don't want to be influenced by it.
Yeah, they don't want to be. I guess that's what it is. They don't want to be influenced. But I think that's weird.
Same.
Because it's almost guaranteed that you're going to steal somebody's joke if if you don't make it a point.
Or how are you going to know if you're being a hack or not?
Yeah.
How are you going to know if somebody is if this is such well trodden ground?
Yeah.
I remember coming up with the if you went back in time to kill Hitler as a baby, you're just a guy in the past killing a baby thing, and thinking fucking slam dunk. I walked into the comic strip and I was like, I got a new joke that I'm really excited about, and I told I forget who, and they were like, oh yeah, everybody does that. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, I am one of those comics.
I came up with men and women are different.
I am one of those comics who doesn't like watching comedy. But my feeling is that if I don't watch it and I come up with it on my own, then I haven't stolen it. And if somebody notifies me, somebody else has that bit, I would be like, well, do I love the bit? Do I have my own take? Can I go deeper into it and make it my own? Then I would check it out. But until then, I don't. It's just impossible. I can never watch all of comedy. And I also just I just get antsy watching it, especially if it's good. I'm like, I need to write more. Yeah, I want to write more. And if it's bad, I'm like, this is just a waste of my time, and I'm not enjoying this. So,
I get that.
Yeah, I watch it in pretty small doses. But I did just want to say real quick, from my understanding, before Lenny Bruce, it was like that was the Catskills comedians, and it was just all short jokes. And they were kind of people stole from each other. It was like if a joke was out there, you just put it in. You could just put it in your act. And
and when they traveled, they would do each other's jokes.
Right. So Lenny Bruce was like the forefather of stand-up, like breaking out of that by being biographical, by having commentary on what was going on, and bringing comedy into that. So that's why they call him one of the forefather of stand-up.
Yeah, because it was just "Take My Wife, Please" and all that kind of stuff before him, right?
And Lenny Bruce is like, "What if your wife was an N-word? Would you take her then?"
This guy's breaking boundaries, man.
I really got Jarret with that one.
Well, as long as we're cutting things out, may I?
I said N-word. You can keep that in. He loved saying the N-word. He said it a lot.
So interesting. This was weird. Alon had posted a Dina Hashem set, or maybe a cut together version of it, something like that.
So it was like, hey, that's Dina's jokes.
He stole her face and everything.
Stole her name.
Like, no, this is an homage to the history
racial background
of comedy, about her place in that time, in that era.
And I was like, oh, let's see what Alon went out of his way to, do a little cross promotion. Oh, hey, this is really funny, Dina. And I click on it, and then the first joke was about how there's the idea of artificial insemination, and she thinks it's cool how you could just take eggs and whatever and then just mix it all up and put it in someone else. And they approached me. My brother was having a tough time conceiving with his wife or whatever. And they approached me to be that person, and she was like, I don't want to do that, but I did think the only upside to that would be if that people are, once I have that little bump, they'd be like, oh, it's so great. She's like, yeah, it's my brother's. But what was really weird for me is I've watched all of Friends growing up. I knew it so well. I mean, there's an entire season arc of just that, where Phoebe is artificially inseminated by her brother's baby. Mm-hmm. And no shortage of those jokes, verbatim. And so it was I'm like, but I couldn't place it in my brain, but I was like, was that not in the culture? Like, were we not all aware that Phoebe, carried, and that like for 24 episodes we heard some version of that joke? It wasn't even just once; it was just like over and over. Like the whole season-long joke was the fact that she was having her brother's baby. But that's just something that she missed. She never knew. I know she has not seen Friends. There's just no chance in my mind that she would have like even been like, yeah, this is mine. But everyone's cultural zeitgeist is different.
Yeah, and then also, I doubt she made up that experience to get to
Exactly.
the joke,
Exactly. Right.
If you have the experience,
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like that one's okay. I don't know why I feel like that's
maybe it is. In my mind, it was just like because
You've never seen it?
As soon as she started talking about it, I was like, we're talking about Friends season 6, right? Or whatever.
yeah, I think if you have the experience and you've never seen the thing, then it's yours. If you've seen the thing and you're like, oh, I did have the experience, but I probably saw that and I probably like unconsciously made that connection because it was already made for me, then you have to be like, well, ethically, I'm going to get rid of the joke. But I think you can keep it if you don't know.
Somebody actually accused me of stealing jokes from an entire episode of Friends once. Because I was doing a show and I just went up on stage and I did my bit that I was like, season 3 of Friends, episode 6. And they go like that. And everybody laughs remembering those jokes, and someone's like, I think you're doing those jokes from... All right, this is not a good bit.
And then you
I'm
went,
with you now.
everybody lost their minds.
But then you were like, I've never seen that episode, so.
So, yeah.
That reminds me of a joke my dad would tell me. He said, guy goes to prison, and he gets, it's his first day, and he gets locked in with his cellmate. And at night, everyone's just quiet, and then all of a sudden, someone yells out, 72! Everyone laughs. New guy's looking around. He's like, that's weird. Gets all quiet again. Another, all the way down the hall. He's like, 12! It was like, they're all laughing. Everyone in the big uproarious thing. Guy's just like, come on, all right. Finally, someone's just like, 98! And then everyone laughs again. He's like, he goes to his cellmate. He's like, what's going on? Everyone's yelling out numbers. How's that? And his cellmate goes, look, man, we've all been in the stir for years, okay? We know every joke in the book. We've all memorized them, and instead of just telling them again, we just decided to give them numbers. And every once in a while, if we think of one, we just yell one out. That's it. You'll learn them eventually. And sure enough, over months he's been there, he learns all the jokes and he learns all the numbers. So one night everything's really quiet, and he's sitting there and he's like, 83. Nothing. He's like, oh, that's weird. He's like, 17. None of the inmates laugh. He's like, and he goes to his cellmate. He's like, I don't understand what's going on. 83, 17, these are all great jokes. How come no one's laughing? And his cellmate's like, hey, man, look, some people just can't tell a joke.
That's good.
I like that one.
I like that a lot.
My dad loves jokes like that. Big, long, story-like setup. That's it. And, Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Is This Anything? I am Rob Ryan, of course, always joined by Anthony Kapfer, Brett Druck, and Jarret Berenstein. Jarret wanted to let us know what our order is for today.
That's a really good example. Who should do that intro, Rob?
Yeah. I'm thinking all four of us could take little slices of it, and we all pick it apart, but we don't do a countdown.
And they are. All right. Plug it in the Jarbinator. Boop, boop, boop. And our order for today is Rob, Anthony, Jarret, Brett.
Oh, man.
Yes. First. Wow. All right. You know what?
He's leading.
Good job of all of us having a reaction.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man. Ooh.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, my tummy.
I'm going to grab a Red Bull, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob is kicking it up a notch.
Kicking it
You
up.
put all that energy into saying each other's names.
Yeah, I got tired.
Drained.
Yesterday, well, this is going to sound more impressive at first, and then I'll explain. Yesterday, I ran 14 miles.
Whoa. That does sound
Ooh.
impressive. Stop right there.
That's
don't
extremely
keep
impressive.
But I went running twice. So each time I did.
That's still
7 miles.
impressive.
Yeah,
Two
that is.
7-mile stretches? Well done.
Yeah.
and it was from the police because I.
Even
Still
more
impressive.
impressive.
That's still,
Yeah.
still impressive.
How did you manage to take a break between those two runs?
Well, I was hiding out for a while, and then they
I hid in
found
the
me.
sewer.
This is most impressive.
I thought I had gotten away, but then when I came out of the sewer, I was right in front of the police station. So, back to running for me.
I feel like Rob is low now. Does anybody hear that?
Oh, you know,
Yes.
I think my microphone is away from my face.
Look at all that Ethernet cable. That guy's internet connection is going to be so good.
I gotta get one of those.
Try to get a little higher. All right, now it's in front of my face.
Yeah, you're back. You're back to normal.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Okay.
Now you can do some gardening while the
Yeah.
show goes on.
Get some of my juice. All right.
Are you recording?
I'm not recording yet. Thank you. Record on this computer. Done.
Anthony,
Hey,
can you
guy.
do a little jingle that every time we ask, "Are you recording?" Yes, he's gonna do it right now. Yes.
Are you recording?
Beautiful.
Perfect. Loved it.
That made me so happy.
I have. Okay, here we go. So today I have something special here. So I've been, as fans of the show know, I've been working on a one-person show here, and here's where I'm at. I came up with the concept where I thought it might be a fun idea if I wanted to try to start introducing members of my family. I grew up in a sort of this alcoholic household, and I thought that maybe one of the strategies that I could use to get into that information without it seeming too like, oh, now let me just tell you about these people type of thing, was that I could use in like AA and that sort of world, you kind of learn about the roles that people take on, and I thought that maybe I could play around with that. First of all, just a general question to you guys: are you generally somewhat familiar with those roles in a dependent household?
The first I heard of it was when you explained it on that episode.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before.
Same, and then have it for you, Jarret.
Yeah, same. I only knew about it when you told us about it.
Okay, all right. So that's going to immediately pose problems. So I think I need to be heavy on the explanation side of it, which is fine. I kind of incorporated that a little bit already. So this is somewhere in between. You know, I'm trying to get a lot of information out. I'm storytelling a little bit. I'm also throwing in some jokes. It's not like hard stand-up, but I had a couple paragraphs I wanted to share with you guys today, and let me know what you thought. All right. One thing I learned about addiction is the roles that family members play in alcoholic households. They all have titles and descriptions, and each family member falls somewhat neatly into these categories. There's the dependent person, the enabler, the hero, the scapegoat, the lost child, and the mascot. And I think there are some others, the cleric, the druid, the sorcerer. I'm not sure. I've never played with the Alcoholic Family expansion pack, but that's the core 6. My mom, no. The dependent person is the addicted person, the alcoholic. That was my mom. The enabler is someone who desperately wants the dependent person to quit and will do anything to make that happen, except what's necessary. Whether he was aware of it or not, my dad was the enabler. The mascot is the comedian, usually the youngest child, using humor to deflate tense situations and to cope. Handsome, strong, and hung like a horse, the mascot uses... uses comedy to communicate difficult emotions. The lost child, my The lost child is the quiet one, the dreamer. The lost child is known as the invisible child. He gets ignored and his problems get pushed to the back burner. My brother Steve was definitely the lost child, and it's for this reason I will not be talking about him much during the rest of this show. Now, my brother Tim was the scapegoat. Now, if you don't know what the scapegoat is, that's your fault. It's all your fault. And that's all I have. That's my intro. So
Excellent.
So good.
Great.
Really great.
Yeah, maybe a callback later. I forgot to mention another
Aspect
aspect of
Mascot.
the mascot is he's an excellent lover.
Yeah, like the next time you have to mention the mascot, then you
just
can
keep
add a new
adding
one.
things.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. Okay, that's the place to do it. Yeah, because
I
don't think I want to tack on more as where it is. But in
Yeah,
a different
but
location.
another joke the next time would be cool.
Right.
I was actually thinking it might be funny to add that to the other definitions. Like when you're talking about something else, you can be like, also the lost child, typically not as good at sex as the mascot. That's just I'm just reading the definition for you guys. I don't know why you're laughing.
I was thinking for the Lost Child actually that it would just I really like it how it is, but I was thinking maybe you just like the Lost Child. It's like gets forgotten and stuff like that, and I don't really know who that is, so I can't really talk about him.
It's interesting. I don't know what the best wording is. I have like 3 different versions kind of swirling around in my head. I don't know if I should start by saying my brother Steve was the lost child and then saying it, or if I should say his name afterwards.
What if you
Once they hear the definition, I feel like I need to get off it, because I think the funniest thing would be like once you know that he gets ignored. But I don't know a funny way to say I'm going to ignore him without it being too long. Right now it's a very long, I'm saying this in the most one-man show Billy Crystal-esque way. I'm not being to reference that, right? I'm trying not to be slick with it because I don't want anyone to miss that joke.
So you're not trying to make it too short, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because I feel like I might lose a couple of people because each description is short. I say, here's the dependent person. I move on. Here's the enabler. So if I move on without real much of an explanation, I think it might feel like to some as if I am just simply moving on. So I feel like I need to explain my joke that I'm going to actively ignore him for the rest of the show.
I think I don't like that you're on purpose ignoring him.
Okay.
So let me just pose one more idea. You explained the lost child, he gets forgotten and stuff like that. And we didn't have one of those.
Man, but it actually solves a problem for me. I don't talk about Steve that much in this show. I don't plan to.
do you mention his name?
Oh, I see.
Yes, and I've already mentioned him before, and I will mention him again.
Oh,
but I'm not gonna get into like things about him for 20 minutes like I will with Tim.
It would have been funny if it didn't matter what his name is, if you could just call him what's his name, the lost child. What's his
that's
name?
funny.
He'll. But if it's important for the rest of the show, I guess you can't do that.
Yeah, that's falling a little bit outside the purview of what I'm trying to do. So that's why it's always so tough when I bring this stuff to you guys, because I have so many more rules than I would ever have with a stand-up joke where I'm like, well, my grandma's not dead, so I guess I can't.
No, but we could
It
still
would be
throw him
hilarious
out
if she.
there.
And I also wouldn't fuck her if she was, so it's not an appropriate thing to say.
I like that. We don't know all the rules, but it's cool for us to throw out riffs and then for you to say why it wouldn't work. I think, that's still pretty cool.
Rob, do you think that this, because I was thinking, before you said you wanted it to be longer, I was thinking of making it a throwaway. Maybe that's a little too on the nose, where you're like, that was my brother Steve, and his life was really boring. But anyways, or nobody gives a shit about that guy. But if you wanted you to sort of like live in that moment for a little bit, you might be able to do like a searching for it take where you're like, you do it and you're like, and my brother Steve was a lost child, and there's not a ton to say about him.
Steve was the lost child.
funny.
We're still looking for him.
And then you just sort of like think about it for a second. You're like, yeah, he never really. Yeah, his stuff was kind of boring, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what's
I
interesting
guess
though is this, and then you move on to the other thing.
I'm just missing a justification as to why you're going to continue this pattern of behavior with the lost child in the joke. I know it's really nitpicky, but almost like I need something like, and I'm pretty sure he's not here tonight, so I'm just gonna skip over him.
Right. I guess maybe
And then
the
you have a
answer-
plant in the audience. It's like, I'm here. It's like, yeah. So
You know, it's funny. I was thinking along those lines that you just said for a tad bit, and what wound up happening is it made me feel like I would do this one time for an audience of 50, half of which is my family and friends. And I was like, I don't want to include that in the script where it seems like I'm playing to only my friends and family.
Yeah.
So I was trying to avoid that as best I could and make it like, no, anyone could listen to this story.
What was the definition of the lost child again?
There's a couple of different ones, and I could edit some of these out. As is, I read to you guys, the lost child is the quiet one, the dreamer. The lost child is known as the invisible child. The lost child gets ignored, and his problems get pushed to the back burner. The dreamer is not really necessary to get this joke across. Neither is really the quiet one. Maybe it is, maybe not. But that's where I have it. And there's you could amalgamate from different websites. Remarkably, they all agree on these 6. I did not know that going into this. I was aware of the comedian thing because, as I told you guys from an earlier episode, I think I was out here again, was how my mom would take credit for that. She was like, there's always a comedian. I'm like, don't take credit for my defense mechanism. That's not fair.
He's punching your brother in the face. You're welcome.
Yeah, but he's older, so it was punching up.
There's always a boxer.
Say thank you.
Yes, I don't know because the wording doesn't sit right with me. I am particularly happy with how the mascot wording came out. The setup is pretty much the mom and the dad, the dependent and the enabler. There's nothing really funny there, nor do I want there to be. But then there's like joke for, mascot, lost child. And then I'm also particularly happy with how the scapegoat thing turns out or ends. It was remarkable, in fact. I was like, oh, maybe I should get a joke for each. And then I was like, no way, I'll get something I like for each. And I literally I wrote for an hour yesterday and came up with all this stuff after I kind of had the ideas. And I was like, oh, that's a good scapegoat joke. And oh, that's a good lost child one. And that's a funny mascot one. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, my feedback was pretty nitpicky. It's excellent the way it is, and the progression of the druid into the expansion pack is just like a perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you laid that out perfectly.
The Lost Child. Honestly, that's the last thing that I'm kind of like, ugh, how do I word this right?
How did you word the joke?
The Lost Child one?
Yeah.
As is, which I don't love, is it's verbatim. I said this to you guys. I said the Lost Child is the quiet one, the dreamer. The lost child is known as the invisible child. He gets ignored and his problems get pushed to the back burner. My brother Steve was definitely the lost child, and it's for this reason I will not be talking about him much during the rest of this show. I just wanted to lay all the words out there, but I need to
maybe
cut it
because I don't really remember anything about him.
But you said you said you don't need the dreamer part.
No,
right?
no, I don't. I was just restating what I said the first time.
Right.
But I don't think I need it. I can delete it right
Yeah,
now.
I still want justification as to why you're not.
Yeah, may I pose this question? What is it about the lost child that makes them... Is it that they're forgettable? Or is it that... Usually, the explanations online is that their problems are... It's like you don't want to add to the problems. So they kind of just... They detach from the family unit and they... there's other bigger things going on. So they are forgotten in that sense. It's a middle child syndrome for sure. You got your oldest child and then your youngest, your baby, and then the middle's kind of like, oh, he's just, skating along, doing his thing. But it gets amplified in this dynamic, is what I understand. So it's not that I don't care about him. It's not that he's not doing things or that he is boring. It's that there are bigger fish to fry, so we don't think about his existence as much. Good or bad. We're just like, oh yeah, he's fine, right? Okay, cool. All right. Anyways, Tim's falling apart, and that's where it was. So I was also trying to get close to that without.
It makes more sense to me now.
Yeah. So I don't know what the right thing to do is though. But
I think you were on the right track by, sort of making a joke about not talking about him later. But, something like that. That's why I suggested the thing of what's his name or whatever. Just something a little more punchy that makes it clear he's not important in the story.
And maybe
that
if we
he
have
was not
time
important
at the end of
in-
the show, we can talk about him.
ooh, okay, yeah, that gets to the heart of what I'm
At the
getting
moment, we have much more important things, much more fun things to discuss. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
I'm so
That's-
sorry I interrupted
'cause
Anthony.
That's
but
active.
that was burning a hole in my brain.
No, that's okay. In this group, Anthony would be the lost child. So that's yeah, because that's instead of it being inactive by ignoring, it's active by saying we will get to him later.
It is
it's
the
like
activity
bumping
of
method.
pushing him aside.
Yeah.
Because there are bigger fish to fry. You're saying we will talk about him at the end of the show if we have time. I don't know.
I like that. Yeah.
Great note, Jarret.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that could be it. I'll definitely tinker around with that. I wanted to point out, it's funny because I've mentioned to you guys, much to your chagrin, that I have another writing group that I work with. But
We said it's fine if you just don't tell us about it.
But I wanted to praise you guys because there's something I get very self-conscious about in those groups that I don't get here. And it's whenever you guys say something and I say that I've thought of that or I considered this. For some reason, I feel like a pompous dickhole whenever I try to explain to a group that yeah, I've been down that path before. I love your idea. It's just I've thought of that. But you guys, I don't feel that way, nor does it phase you guys to just
Actually,
be like,
phases me a lot. I'm like, oh, Rob's so smart. He already thought of my suggestion. Big man. Wow. Maybe I'll just shut the fuck up.
Oh, was there an invisible reason why you can't use my idea that you didn't tell us about?
Oh, and all of a sudden you just happen to remember that you had all these ideas. Why even come to the group?
I want to see you do one of these next time where you're like, oh my god, that's funny. Oh, that's so funny. I did think of that already.
And I'm going to include it. But it's mine. Just so you know. Because it does start to say, it almost feels unbelievable at some point. You're like, really? Really? You thought of that and then you also... Come on, man. That's funny. Actually, I was getting vibes about that last week with Anthony, or on Tuesday. There was two different jokes where it was totally legit, but you were just Jarret had said something. You're like, I actually had a joke I already wrote like that 4 years ago. I just didn't include it this time, and it happened twice. And I was gonna make a joke to it, but
It happened during mine.
Yeah, I think 2 separate times someone had suggested something to you, and then you referenced, yeah, I did write a joke just like that, but I didn't include it.
But I was glad that Brett
That you-
said that because I forgot that I wrote it. I was looking for it so I could include it when I was planning what I was going to talk about. But then when I was doing the joke for you guys, I totally forgot about it. So I was glad. But I think in those situations, we all know that we're not going to just lie about
Exactly.
having thought about oh yeah, I totally thought of it.
In my circumstance, you could suggest something that I already wrote, and I would forget that I wrote it. So I'd be like, that's a great idea. Thanks, man.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for listening. I think that I've got 2 or 3 great ideas here, and I'll certainly include them. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, that's
Great.
my time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, really good chunk, man. All right, Anthony, you are
Are you?
up.
Oh yeah, he's recording.
I am.
But
Should
can
I
you do the
the
jingle?
song anyway?
Just because it'll make me happy. I like when we start early. We have time for jingles.
Am I recording? Yes.
Am I recording?
I've got a couple of ideas, and you guys will let me know.
Are they some things?
Yeah, that's about right. And this is different. I haven't even thought of doing this before, but I have some joke ideas, but I also have a song, I have a couple songs I'm working on, and maybe if there's time, maybe I will present one of my songs, and you guys can give me notes on that. Okay.
My notes will just be clapping along and happy. Loving music today.
Let's see. Okay, so this is something I've said before, and I forgot about it, and I wanted to know if there's more that I could squeeze out of it.
Is there more of this?
Is there more?
Will Jerry Seinfeld sue us?
You know things are bad when scientists are like, it's the end times. But then religious conservative leaders are like, don't listen to them. They're fucking crazy.
That is so perfect.
I love it.
So that's all I have, but I feel like there could be something else, potentially.
The end is Bill Nye.
It's really funny.
I think you nailed it, Brett. I think that's what it was missing.
The end is Bill Nye.
end is Bill Nye.
N-I-G-H. I don't even know how to spell Nye anymore.
No, that's right. You got it.
Yeah, that's a great little line, Anthony. I remember reading that somewhere on your Facebook or Twitter or something. I thought that was excellent back then.
And I think I did it on stage, maybe 2 years ago once.
Is there a way to incorporate... Because I feel like a big thing with religion also is thinking about the long-term consequences of your behavior in the afterlife. Mm-hmm. But the way that religious people are acting right now, they're basically saying like there's no long-term consequences to your actions on Earth. So the scientists are saying that the end is coming, and the religious people are saying, no, everything's going to be fine. Do whatever you want. There are no consequences. Something like that.
Oh yeah, stress
Maybe
that
that'll
more.
fit in.
Yeah,
Because it's not even just that they're saying that everything's fine. They're saying like, and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
You can throw acid in the ocean.
Yeah.
Who cares?
nobody cares. Buy a gun. Don't wear a mask. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Right.
God will judge you. No,
No one
actually,
will.
he won't. You know what? Come on.
For what? For exercising your freedom? I don't think so.
God actually changed his ways. He used to be very judgy. Now he's cool with most things.
He says, YOLO.
Yeah, I love the idea that the scientists are the ones who are saying that you will pay a grave price for your actions. Maybe not now, but you know, a time is coming when you are going to answer for your sins, and you're just like, oh, that's ominous and crazy, and all the religious leaders are like, pew pew pew. That's great. I don't know. My brain is always trying to expand on that and like describe it in 3 or 4 different ways, but the way that you did it, you really compactified it into like a nice little swallowable pill. So I don't know. If it's just
I'm
time to
thinking
move on from it. Or
I'm thinking now about Mark Norman's got that joke about how religious people don't like Wi-Fi because they can't compete with an invisible power that actually does something. And it's making me think. I don't know if there's like a way to change it enough. But it made me think about like religious people not caring about coronavirus, you know, which is also basically like an invisible, you know, power that does do things, you know.
So they have faith, but only when it comes to God, but not at all with science or anything.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like,
They're
I
like,
have,
if coronavirus is a threat, how come I can't see it?
yeah. They're like, I believe in God. He will protect me from anything. And then you put like some facts in front of them, and they're like, I'm not convinced.
Well, that's like that old joke about the guy who's drowning, and somebody comes by with a boat and is like, hey, you want to get in my boat? And the drowning guy is like, don't worry, God will save me. And then like another boat comes by and he's like, hey, you need any help? And he's like, no, don't worry, God will save me. And then the third boat comes by and he's like, don't worry, God will save me. And then he dies and he drowns and he goes to heaven. And he says to God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, I sent you 3 boats.
Great. But that's Leo McGarry's bit, unfortunately.
What? Whose bit is it?
What?
Leo McGarry told that story in an episode of The West Wing, maybe like season 4 or 5.
That's where I
thought it
get
was
that
a
name from.
Name you made up, and I was fine with it.
I thought maybe Jarret would like have watched that show and remembered. That's all.
Just because I have very hardcore liberal politics, you are assuming that I watched...
That you watched all 7
West-
seasons of The West Wing religiously? Yeah.
Well, you're right, but...
I don't remember that.
Okay, so that seems like a good place to move on, right?
Yeah. I did. That is definitely something. It's great.
Thanks. It's funny because it was sort of funny when I first wrote it, and now it's like I happen to see it again somewhere. And I was like, oh man, that I have to revisit this concept.
I think the big expansion, the thing we touched on most is that, yes, the end times are near, but then the consequences and you'll be judged for your actions thing. I think that's a separate kernel that is so rich and true that the scientists are just like, you don't understand. Your sins you will pay for dearly. And religious leaders are just like, no, you won't.
It's all cool.
Live in the moment. YOLO.
Yeah, that and my Bill Nye pun.
I do like the Bill Nye pun. Let's see. So I have this other. This is much. This is so. I think I tweeted this the other day, but I think that there is more here. The line is, "I just want to party like it's Sorry, I just want to party like it's 2019." Is the line, and I was thinking about it today, and what's really kind of fun for me is the idea that when the Prince song 1999 came out, like in the, I don't know what that was, 70s or sometime in the 80s, there was this idea that like in the future, that's like that's going to be a crazy year. We're going to party, whatever. But now in 2020, looking back to 1999, there's so much stuff that we could do then that we can't do now, like hugging our friends or like sharing a plate of nachos or something like that. And just the idea that 1999, it was a simpler time when we thought we would be killed by computers instead of a deadly virus.
Oh, that's funny.
That's what I was thinking of today. So
I want to party like it's any year before 2019.
So that's that kind of, that's the line, and then that was my thought process of what's fun about the song 1999 now.
Yeah.
Do you think that it would be funny to place the joke? You one time I was at a party in 1999, and the song came on, Party Like 1999, and we were having such a good time. My friend said, "Can you imagine what the party's going to be like in 2009, in 2019?" And I was like, "It probably won't be as good in 2019." And I was right. Something like that. I don't know.
Well, 2019 was mostly cool in America.
Yeah.
It was
I don't think it was. I think it just comparatively, now it was.
Right.
Just
right.
the last, ever since, the 2015, 16 election.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was going
like
downhill.
every year we've been like, oh my God, it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And now we're like, it was not that bad.
A lot of things.
Bush.
A lot of things were bad, but it's like all of 2019, I was on tour. I was traveling. I was doing all the stuff that I've wanted to do, and I can't tour. It'll be years before anybody can do what I did last year.
Right.
So in that respect, yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Mention your personal circumstances in 2019 before you tell the joke.
Yeah. But
I kind of think... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's funny that like the song 1999, when it came out, it was like this cool concept or whatever. In 1999, it was maybe less cool, or maybe people thought it's like, maybe for a little bit, people were like, oh yeah, this is cool because now it's finally here. But then it lost its appeal in the year 2000 and whatever years after that.
Yep.
People are like, oh yeah, that old song. And now we're at a point where we can look back and be like, oh man, I just want to party like it's 1999.
Yeah, I love that thinking. I don't think that thinking was addressed in the wording of the joke that you initially put out there, but I kind of enjoy that. It reminds me of a couple of the other jokes that you had, where there's like almost like a Dimitri Martin-esque, like a map, a scale, a graph of like how cool 1999 seemed.
Yes.
Back in the 70s, Prince, like it seemed like peak coolness for the year 1999, and then as we got to 99, we're like, this is fine. Not what Prince thought it was going to be, but it's nice. And then as
Well, maybe 95 you get there, then everybody's afraid of Y2K. So then 1999 becomes cool again. Then 1999 you're like,
yeah, and then it declined, as you said. Like in the 2000s, it just became like a year, and now we're like, actually, that was pretty dope. Got to hang out, got to high five people.
and now 1999 has seemed higher than it ever has before. This is the highest point in the graph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stock has gone way back up.
Prince wrote that song in blah 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 year, and it seemed like a really cool year to party. And then it came around, and it seemed like it was fine. And then for a long time, partying like in those 1999 was like, all right. And now in 2020, I would pay $1 billion to party like it was 1999.
And then I guess I should have a bunch of examples of things that we could do then that we can't do now, which is almost everything, really.
Do you want to come to my 1999 themed party? We're going to be standing next to each other.
We'll be breathing in a room together.
So you can try some of my food.
Here's an unrelated thought. 1982 is when Prince wrote the song. So he was imagining a time 17 years later. And then if someone were to write a song in 1999, it would be about 2016, which was actually a pretty big letdown for a lot of people. But I don't know how that translates.
Oh, okay.
Like,
And
to look to
well, I guess we're a little bit past it. I mean, we're 21 years past it, but it's like it's almost the same amount of time looking back now as it was looking forward when he wrote it. It's it's off by a couple years, but
Ooh, Prince died in 2016 too. That's not a good thing to look forward to.
Yeah, the way you said it didn't really match what you were saying.
ooh, he died that year.
Fact, horrifically, slowly, painfully.
How did he die? Was it overdose?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
wait,
think
no.
they suspected it might be.
Yeah.
He just
I
kind of
remember.
collapsed, I think, but then it came out later that he may have been on some
right.
painkillers and stuff.
The same doctor that got Jackson, I think, got him too.
Yeah, it was a kind of a similar thing, because he was touring a little bit at the time, and I think he was pushing himself. And
Yeah, I don't know. That Prince died.
Fentanyl keeps popping up as if it was attributed to fentanyl.
I do
Taking
remember that was when-
counterfeit Vicodin laced with fentanyl.
Yes, that was when the fentanyl was really, they were cracking down on it, and there was a lot of issues with people dying from overdoses from fentanyl.
Wow.
I remember because my mom was going through some stuff, and it was really hard for us to get painkillers because of the crackdown on fentanyl.
Is any of this usable, Anthony? Fentanyl? Fentanyl's a funny word, that hard F sound.
That thing about Brett's mom is going to really crack this joke right open.
yeah, I like your suggestions about talking about just kind of framing it like when the song came out, leading up to 1999, it was super cool, and then
There's a
having that
Will
be the framework.
Smith line in one of his songs that, it's a reference to Prince's song. I'm gonna party like it's 1990. Hold up, it is. I don't know if that helps, but
It's a new
I just remembered
millennium.
it.
No, wait, millennium.
How long in the
Welcome to
future was 1999 from when Prince wrote the song?
17 years.
So maybe you could do something like Prince wrote that song in 1980, blah, 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 which is 17 years in the future. So if someone were to write a song 17 years from the future from 1999, it would be 2016. That party probably wasn't as good. That's it.
Because that's
but
when Prince
really,
died.
but really
'Cause that's
now,
when Prince died.
That's
Yeah.
when Prince died.
Prince died then.
Prince died. I don't understand
he's
emotions.
totally dead.
I have autism.
Yeah, so I'll tinker with that. That's some good stuff. Yeah, the only thing I had written was the line, "I just want to party like it's 2019," and then I was just sort of thinking before we started about those other ideas, just like even the idea that we were going to be killed by computers when it changed to the year 2000 and bombs went off or whatever. Like even that seemed, at least that's like a cooler way to go out than some virus where we're just sitting around for 6 months at home.
Yeah.
So I just that was so whatever I said earlier was not really like a joke structure. It was just things that I thought of.
I was part of what made me think of the years thing was that the book 1984 was written 35 years prior to 1984, and it was specifically chosen because 35 years is usually designated as like a generation that you can actually denote. And so he was purposely being like, I wonder what, let's go one generation in the future. It's 35 years later, so the year was 1949. And 35 years after 1984 would be 2019. And I remember thinking that when it was 2019, I was like, hey, this is what 35 years after 1984 would be. So if someone were to write a novel in 1984 about a dystopian future, they'd kind of nail it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of thought everybody's like, oh man, 2020 sucks. I wish it was 2019 again. But for the people in Wuhan, they're like, 2019 sucked too.
Yeah, from what, like October?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had 10 good months. Okay, so where am I? Am I done? I don't know.
Maybe.
That feels like time, but I'm also wasn't timing, so.
I'm also wasn't timing.
I think I started at 208 or something. So me plus Anthony, 30. No, I can't be right. 208
Equals sexy.
Pew, pew, pew.
I would date that. Can you
You were
imagine
at
his
same
head on his body?
I don't
feel like
think
I
you have
didn't
to.
specify
We could probably do it.
who's-
Anthony, could you get in the box below me?
But,
Yeah,
but
stand
I'm
up
not,
a little bit. Stand
Oh.
up. Oh, for me, it would work. I'll
it doesn't
screen
work
capture
for
it.
me.
No,
We're
you,
in gallery view?
yeah, Anthony, can you wait? But can you
Oh
stand up?
yeah,
and I'll
Anthony,
screen
stand
capture?
up.
Oh,
You gotta
so
stand
my
up. You
head's
gotta
out?
cut your neck.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
works
get
for
your
me
neck
too.
off. Go a little bit to your left. Yeah, hold on. Let me get this screen capture. All right. Got it.
I'll have to edit it in because that's not the way I see it.
I'm gonna actually screen share and show it to you.
That's priceless.
Let me just go ahead and paste this bad boy.
For people listening to the podcast, we're about to do a visual
Rob
gag.
Made
is a
it
disembodied head, and Anthony is a decapitated body. But together they make Captain Planet.
Okay, let's just screen.
We leave the visual gags in so that you have to also watch the show on our YouTube page.
Exactly. That's why I flashed my penis, so you also have to go over to the OnlyFans. Ooh, Brett Druck is shit.
So if you're on the
That
YouTube,
is
just in the comments say how much you want to fuck this thing. Let us know.
This thing, it's still mostly me. You're calling it a thing.
But with that size head on that body, it's a thing.
Anthony
that's
Kapfer.
great. Oh, that's so funny.
All right. Great
All
stuff.
right. Are we
Anthony.
moving on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll do the song next time.
Oh, the song. I forgot about the
Oh yeah.
Do you want to hear the song?
song.
Do you want to hear the song?
I kind of want to hear the song.
Do you want to hear the
it's fine.
song?
Oh,
Brett,
it's
what do you
got the
want?
guitar right there. It's blue.
Right? You think you want to hear the song, Brett? Brett, what
Well,
do you think?
maybe we need a jingle for it.
Want
to hear my song?
No, I think we're good.
Wait, Anthony, could you do the song again? But now can you mumble the way that we were doing it when you say
Do
this?
you want to hear my song?
Yeah, let's hear the song.
Yeah, you got the computer up.
The computer up.
The computer up.
My cat was messing around with the
I call
guitar.
guitars music computers.
Didn't know that about you.
What happened?
Maybe the song's only for the Patreon fans.
Jarret forgot the word for guitar and said, "Oh, you've already got your computer out." And I wouldn't let that go, so Jarret had to riff on it.
So Brett said his computer, and I said, yeah, I call it guitars, music computers.
Music computers. That's pretty good. So this is, I played the song for, Rob has heard the song. Sorry, Rob. And I have this problem a lot when I'm trying to write comedy songs because I used to also write serious songs. So sometimes I just write the song to have the idea that I want, and then I listen to it and I'm like, well, it's not really that funny. Like if it was a serious song, it'd be fine. But now I need to punch it up. So this has all of the ideas I want to get across. It's a pandemic song because I put out an EP of songs like that, but I want to add to it and release a whole album that is about how awful this year is. And so this is a song.
And you're having trouble making this funny?
Huh? Yeah.
Having trouble making that light and punchy?
Yeah. Well, some of the songs were like I had the song "I Need to Wash My Hands." It's sort of just whatever. It's lighthearted. But this song is called "Wear a Fucking Mask." And,
This one's called 180,000 Dead. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, here we go. Some people think wearing a mask is a political statement. But it's not unless your political stance is you do not give a shit about anyone else. So wear a fucking mask. No, it's not a lot to ask. Wear a fucking mask or we're all gonna die. You're wrong if you think not wearing a mask is your God-given right. If God were real, she'd be considerate, so you should really reconsider it. So wear a fucking mask. Without it, your face looks like an ass. So the CDC recommends you give science a chance.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh,
Great.
thanks.
I had two ideas.
Yeah.
First is the very beginning. What are the lyrics again?
Some people think wearing a mask is a political statement, but it's not unless your political stance is you do not give a shit about anyone else.
I think it'd be really funny if you expanded that out past the place where a song would logically move on to the chorus. Unless your political stance is you don't give a fuck about others and the tiny inconvenience of having a piece of cloth on your face is more important than potentially spreading a deadly disease to hundreds, maybe thousands of people whose loved ones could potentially die alone, gasping for air in a hospital. So wear a fucking mask. Something like that.
Wait, can I add to that? At the end of everything that Jarret just said, and that's not a very good political platform.
Because you can't put that on a bumper sticker.
I like that a lot. I think if that were the case, I would maybe have to switch the first verse and chorus, or the second verse and chorus would probably have to go first, so that the structure would be established, so that when I got to that verse and it was super long, people were like, oh, I know what he's doing.
Yeah, that has to be a verse 2 type of thing. So I think that works. Didn't you go back into it? But that's a great idea.
But I think that they actually it would work. I didn't really think about switching it, but I think it actually would work if I switched it around.
And I think that you should stop playing the guitar and look directly into the camera when you say she for God. And I think the idea there is that it's also like you're waiting for your applause from the audience. And also you are sort of challenging any conservatives to like say something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's not just, the idea of, I'm calling attention to how woke and awesome I'm being. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think it's also funny to be like, she.
God can be a vengeful bitch too.
Or it could be like a similar concept as the verse thing where I finished that. Oh, wait, is that I guess that is the verse. It could be it could be something similar where the verse just goes on about how I'm so great for saying that God is a she.
That is, I mean, just based on our reactions, that continues to be your funniest line. I think that my critiques were along the lines of that. I don't want you to fall into the things that people already say, and that we're coming into this song with all that knowledge already there. So I think you would benefit from not having to establish anything. You can start at an 8 or a 9 and then just go up from there. So there's no need for you to just be like, hey, you should do this thing, and the CDC recommends it. Like, I don't think that stuff is necessary. I think that you should just begin at where you're at and keep going up. Things like the CDC line, to me, drag it back down into normalcy, which is like, I think we're all, people who are listening to that song are all on the same page, and I just want to maximize the laughs so much.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to bring science into it because that verse was about God.
That's true.
So I wanted to
So what's,
to bring science
funniest,
in
what's the
somehow.
funniest way we could talk about science, as opposed to mentioning the boring old CDC type
Yeah.
thing? That's my thinking, but I don't know.
That's
I'm gonna try to
everyone's
keep
thinking.
it under a minute,
Boring
too.
old CDC. I want to have a party. I want to have a pool party. But yeah, that's
More like CDC stands for can't do crap. Am I right?
We gotta sexy up the CDC. Did you know it stands for Center for Dicks and Cocks?
dicks and cocks. They have both kinds.
I hope you don't bring a girl back to your apartment. I hope you don't mind, but I'm a dick man.
Oh, all I got is this dumb old cock.
You know, it's not my favorite. It's kind of like when they offer Pepsi at a restaurant, but I still drink it.
Yeah, I'll have dick. We have is cock fine? Is
Cock
cock
okay?
okay? Yeah, I think Rob, when you heard this song the first time, I think you said that it's totally fine as it is, which is how I felt about it. It's like it's fine, but I think that the idea it can be better.
To me, it's all one PSA with the one funny God line in there. That's the only thing that reeks of zany outside the box thinking. Everything else is just like, yeah, I agree with that. And that's why it's fine. But if you wanted to make it the zaniest, funniest song possible, then I would recommend those other changes. And if not, we don't have to. But that was my thought.
What about the line where it's wear a fucking mask, without it your face looks like an ass? I tried to be silly there.
Yeah, just didn't care as much. I thought, oh, you look stupid with that one. You're dumb. You look like an ass. It rhymes, kind of, with mask. But
I was trying to call them assholes, but I was trying to stick to the rhyme. But hold on, I don't know. I guess I am actually done. But this is that was the whole point of doing the song, was to get the
you could
feedback.
say you look like the whole of an ass.
Oh yeah,
that would call someone an asshole. But still, it's just a random insult. But the God line is it's a play on a play, and I love that. You're meta trolling people with that line. Because I think that we're all already there. We've all seen the memes of like, wear a fucking mask, and since that's in your chorus, then I think that wear a fucking mask is a coverall for everything that you're about to say. So I don't think we should do anything pedestrian. There's no need for build in your 1 minute song. It should start here.
It is 1 minute.
That's my consistent idea, thought, and note. And
Okay.
the second song, and I know the boys haven't heard, was more along those lines. I forget how it even was. It was killing people, maybe. So I forget how the song went. But it was great.
I'll play it next time, actually,
Okay, great. Awesome.
and maybe I'll work on this one so that I can show you what I got next
Cool.
time.
That's my thought. I don't know if the other boys agree with that, but that's what I was thinking.
Agree.
Nice.
All right.
Cool. Thanks.
Some business. I am recording. No one needs to tell me. I hit the
making sure.
button already.
Damn it.
Okay. This one that I'm starting off with, I think it might be a stretch. So I want you guys to tell me, is this a stretch?
Anything.
When you're in a relationship and you sleep with someone else, it's called cheating. but I don't know that that's the best word for it. It makes it sound like you were playing some kind of a game, like a game called Have Sex. And one of the rules is that it has to be with me. So it's a bad game because you each get the same number of points every time you play. Really, the only way to win the game is to cheat. Otherwise, you just tie every single round. It's like, honey, I just got 5 more points and have sex. But how did you do that? I was in the garage all day. I had sex with a babysitter. No fair, you cheated.
I don't think that's a stretch at all. I think it's great.
You like that?
I like it a lot.
I think that act out pulled it all together. The setup felt started to get a little stretchy, but then was like, you cheated. That's really fun.
I feel like every
We have to go back 4 spaces in our relationship.
That's a great tag. Oh, that's so funny.
Living in separate apartments. Is that what that is? Going back.
That's really funny. Taking the game lingo and translating it. Do you mean I have to get my own place? Yes.
Just for now, until we move up, until we roll again.
So you roll again. I
You could
feel
cheat
like
too. We'd be in the same place.
I know it's.
I used to live on Baltic Avenue too. Such a dump.
I know that that's kind of like the weird, like, I'm going to get back at him and also cheat. But sometimes, and I don't know because I've never been in a situation, if both people cheat, it actually hurts the relationship more. So I don't know if there's a way to, like, work that into the bit about, like, you know, if we cheated, we both have to move back 10 spaces or something. You know?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's common knowledge.
Like, it doesn't make us even, you know.
I think in the context of the game,
in the game it would.
it would. I was trying to come up with more game thing. Like, it's sort of like a combination of all the games, because if you get caught cheating, you go, sorry. And so I was trying to make more comparisons to more games.
Don't wake daddy.
You've got to sleep.
It just boggles my mind how you could do something like this.
Now take your pillow and go sleep on the battleship.
You fucked her? That hungry hippo?
Did the person you cheat with have glasses?
Who told you? Simon said.
That Guess Who? Oh, that's a great reference.
You're crossing up all your friends.
Hungry Hippo is great.
Mailman.
I'm glad you liked my Guess Who reference more than you guys liked my Bartleby reference from last time.
Oh, Bartleby! I feel like this is always my big issue is I feel like every step of the justification is necessary, even though it's too long.
I don't think it's too long. I think it was making me laugh throughout the setup.
Rob?
Maybe I'd have to watch it again.
I was briefly confused. I mean, you explained it immediately, but when you said that cheating was the only way to win or something to that effect, I was like, wait, that wouldn't. Yeah, you got it.
Because I've had those thoughts.
Within one sentence, you cleared it up. But that was the only part of the setup where I was like, wait, where's he going with this? But I guess that's what you want.
You know where I may have, started to mentally space was only because of my own individual thoughts on this same topic. Because I always figured that cheating, it doesn't make sense to me either. And that the game is a successful relationship. The game is like a good relationship and a good marriage. But it's hard. It's so hard. I have to cheat. It's like, oh, God, the no sex part with other people is just like, so I cheat. But I'm cheating not to fuck over my partner. I'm cheating because I want to win the game of happiness with my partner. And that's what I was always thinking about. I was like, is that what we were referring to when we say to cheat? Because when you cheat on a test, you don't hate the test. You want to do well on the test.
There's not another test you want to take a little more, but just like once.
Right. You just need You just need to get past a couple of answers. There's like
a younger test.
So my mind's always been along those.
Do you have a bit about that? That sounds like it's.
To be perfectly honest, I've thought of it. I've never formulated into a bit, but those I just share with you pretty much all my thoughts that I've had on that subject up to that point. I'm not trying to stake any claim, but that's it. And so that's where my mind went. So when you kind of shaded it a different way, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what this is about. So, but either or, and you can even use the stuff that I was just saying too.
What's the game called? Is it
Called Have Sex.
Oh, the game is called Have Sex.
That is a funny enough line. The game's called Have Sex, and nobody can win because every time we have sex, we just keep on
Get the same number of points.
the same number of points. Yeah, that is a zanier concept. It's fun, and I think that the thought process that I had kind of goes into this territory of weirdness, almost as if it's like a justification of cheating, or I'm trying to like lessen the effect of it. So that's why maybe I think I've never really pursued it. But this is just so silly. We're like, what's the game here? It's have sex. And then you're like, you got to move back 3 spaces. That's right.
I love that. I think it's very funny that it's Have Sex is the game title, but for the premise and the concept, it would make more sense if the game was something with relationships, because if you're having sex, I mean, cheating, that wouldn't be cheating on a relationship wouldn't be cheating in a game called Have Sex. You would be winning.
No, but then I say one of the rules is that it has to be with me.
Yeah, which makes it always a
I
tie.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
you did say that.
Which back
this
to Jarret's
is
problem.
a real nitpick, but do you guys think it's funnier? You probably won't even have an opinion about this. Do you think it's funnier to say one of the rules or the only rule is that it has to be with me?
I think I like only rule.
And the
I like
only rule
I mean,
is that
we
it has to be
could
with
really
me.
get into it where there are more rules than that, but yeah,
That's true.
Okay. Yeah,
it's like
we
a
don't
Fight
have to-
Club thing.
I don't think it's a huge difference, but I think put it the one rule is good until if you think of other tags where you need other rules,
Right.
then you can just change it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't ever incorporate another rule, because I think it has more impact. The only rule is it has to be with me.
You might be able to split the difference and say the first rule, and that way you have opportunity for others,
Yeah,
but it also
first rule.
is accented.
The number one rule
The number one rule, yeah, that's true.
that makes it seem like it's the most important rule, even if there are more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
There are
the
other
first
rules.
rule
right.
is it has to be with them.
Has to be.
So here's this other thing that I'm I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think about this. It's a little dark. It's a little
I
weird.
refuse.
So this also feels like it might be part of a longer bit about like gun control. And I don't know if there's anything funny here. The problem is the guns. And it shouldn't be controversial to say that. The NRA said that guns don't kill people, people kill people. And I'm like, fine. But whenever I buy something, I always get irrationally excited to use it. If it's a fucking label maker, I want to make labels. I'm going to label my asparagus. The same thing happens when you buy a gun. You start laying awake at night. Like if someone tries to break into my house and hurt my family, they're going to regret it. And I just wish they would get here.
100% agree. Love it. I'm going to do the exact same thing to you I did a second ago, which is saying that I've thought about this extensively. No bit.
Good.
Never did on stage. But I love it. No, I totally love it because I've thought about this too. I'm like, dude, you can't own a gun. You can't because you're going to want to use it. It's like, why would you buy this thing and not use it? Could you imagine? It's like freshly packed. It's all shiny. You're like, come on, let me shoot someone.
You put the bullets in, you cock it, and you're like, and all I got to do is that, and then I fire the gun.
Right.
I like the first part where you if you buy the label maker, but like set up a situation where
Label.
you buy a thing and then you don't have like you buy all this cat litter, you're like and then a cat wanders and you're like yeah,
Finally,
thank God.
You grab the cat and you squeeze, you're like, shit in my litter, you fucking cat.
I've been ready for this moment. For a while.
I just knew that if a cat walked in here, I was going to make it shit in my litter. It feels much better now.
Yeah.
I'm a responsible cat litter owner. But soon you're just looking for cats. You're just like you're leaving your door open. You know,
Right.
you're leaving cat food by the front door.
Well, I was going to say is actually a similar thought for the gun, where now you have the gun, you're waiting, so you're trying to entice somebody to maybe break in, you leave cookies out or something like that. You're just like, because you're like, when are they going to get here? And then the next logical step.
Honey, why did you move the computer by the window?
Maybe that's why gun owners are so racist. They need to have an enemy.
Not really a tag so much as a really sad fact about life, Rob.
Maybe that's why the world is so shit.
You said it with the same cadence as when you like throw a joke in like under the rug, you know? Maybe that's why they're racist, because you know, you gotta have an enemy.
And Prince is dead.
Mwah!
Oh God! I gotta go back to socializing.
That's my time. I don't want to.
Socializing school.
Nothing's gonna be funnier than that.
Say the right things in the right tone of voice.
You could probably do the way you had it with the label maker, and you want to use it, and then do the gun owner, and then you could go back to like, imagine if you had bought this, and then you were just waiting for something. You could probably do all of it.
Sweet, yeah, okay. It makes me. I was worried. I feel like if I wasn't in this writers group, I would have just like never used this because I was like, that's not really good yet. But you guys have made me realize that there's meat on the bone. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that's funny. I like it.
All right, and that's
also
it for me.
I like the idea of before you say this for you, the idea of like yes, you're kind of setting the bait, and then you get so excited that if it's an intruder, it's like you don't even care who the intruder is. Maybe it's your kid who just lost his key, but like whatever, you know. Finally, someone to shoot. I don't know, because I'm trying to pull from the idea that most people, you're more likely to like shoot one of your loved ones.
Maybe it's funny,
an
like
actual intruder.
You know,
I
you shot your son, and it's like I stopped an intruder or something. You know, like you're still in that mode.
In that mode, yeah.
You know,
there was
Well,
someone who
If
had
you
a
have the
joke-
gun and the cat litter, you might shoot the cat who wanders in. So you can really only choose one.
and if you don't, you'll probably scare the shit out of him.
There was someone who had a joke. I forget who it was, but he says, "I don't think I should own a gun because at least a couple times a day I say, God, I wish I had a gun right now."
Oh, here's a tag. Racist people are like really just scared, and by classifying, by thinking that they can visually identify people by evil, it makes them feel safe, and that's where the racism comes from. So that's pretty funny.
I was hoping when you started this that you were just making fun of Rob.
Yeah,
and I am not disappointed.
But that is a real opinion of mine. I do think that's where racism comes from. Fear.
Well, sorry for trying to infuse a little bit of reality into your jokes. Let's just keep
I got a
everything
tag.
silly.
When you feel hate, it's really because you hate something about yourself. Can you do something with that? Is that that's pretty funny.
Nice zinger, Anthony.
Comedy is truth. I don't know what you guys do. So, whatever. We can't all be fucking bear wives and just having a blast.
Having a
called
blast.
Have Sex.
Can you incorporate having a blast into your joke about guns? Is it a shotgun?
That is really
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that.
I'm really glad that I didn't stop recording yet. All right. Everything I record is mine. All right. Thanks so much, guys. That's my time.
Nice.
I got to go plug in for a second.
Like I said, I got to go
Unbelievable.
plug in for sex. Like he's got to charge his dick. Did anybody else hear that?
I heard I got to plug in for a second. But I still thought that.
Should we make it sound like we continued without him?
No, you're a racist, Britt. You're a racist.
There we go.
It didn't phase him.
That's my reaction to that. It's funny. I'm racist. Okay. Let's see here. On topic. I have never cheated on anybody, but if I did, I would definitely try to use the Mandela effect to get out of trouble. I'd be like, you see, baby, so there were so many people who were convinced that it was the Berenstein Bears, but none of those people have any kind of proof or evidence. And that means all of those people either misremembered it or there's been some kind of fluctuation in the space-time continuum that's altered the course of history. So even though all those people saw me having sex with Stephanie, that they actually, I didn't.
I like that the logic doesn't even really work. You're just saying a lot of words.
Do you think it'd be funny to break the logic at the end and be like, you know, all those people said that I was having sex with Stephanie, but I was actually with Nelson Mandela?
Also, I don't know how the Mandela effect works. So that after.
Do you not?
I like
No. I'm saying like if I were going to use Jarrett's line, I would have to.
Oh,
Also, I don't really understand how the Mandela effect works.
Is that how that works? Is that the Mandela effect? You thought it was spelled Berenstein, but Nelson Mandela changed it?
It's not cheating because I thought you died in the 80s.
It's not cheating because I thought you were in a movie where you played a genie.
That only works if you were accused
you
of
know
cheating on
that-
Sinbad.
Yeah, I tried to incorporate that line. I think I told you, Anthony, into the piece that I'm working on, where I explained the Mandela effect. I said the Mandela effect, of course, is when Nelson Mandela played a genie in the movie Shazam.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I love any Mandela effect jokes. I think that's great. I think it's. I don't know if I get lost. I think I was still trying to figure out the logic while you were doing the act out. And I was like, what is the logic he's trying to get at here? Unless he just does it. Because, yeah, it's so off and weird that I think maybe at some point you should also explain. It would be funny if you're like, I don't know how the Mandela effect works. That is funny. But,
I just have one question. Brett. Are you
Yes.
recording?
Yes.
Oh.
how
Oh.
does that sound? Like, what is happening? Are you recording? Oh, God.
I don't know. It keeps going out of tune
Is
today.
that a tune?
That worked so well with Brett just going, yes, yes, yes.
I powered off your music computer with my voice.
Is it cord? Is it recording? I gotta take my computer to the Genius Bar.
All right.
Oh, I guess. It's because I'm leaning it against the wall. So every time I lean it, it goes out of tune.
Music.
All right. Well, I have this. This is not really a. It's maybe you guys can find something in it. Have you've heard somebody say you can't have your cake and eat it too? Yeah. Whenever I hear that, I'm just like, why not? It's my fucking cake. So, what's the point of me having a cake if I can't eat it? I realized eventually the expression, what it's saying is, if you have a cake and then you eat it, you no longer have the cake. So you cannot eat the cake and still have it. And that's what the expression should be. But
I never knew that.
Yeah, I know. And most people don't. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. But when I hear it, I'm just like, why not? My cake. What? What is the situation? I don't know, but why is that? What was it like? Somebody saw it in a fortune cookie, and they were like, "It's got to be translated perfectly." I don't know how that would come to be. I need some justification as to why it's worded so poorly.
This,
I like
that
the
saying
translation.
only works in a world where there's one cake in existence. In a normal world, you can eat your cake and then just go get another cake.
Well, but then you'd have a different cake.
Yeah, but it's still your cake.
May I throw in something?
But you can't have that
Unrelated.
cake. You can't eat your cake and then have it too.
You can
Not- you
eat
can't-
half of the cake.
Brett, transcribe this. What's going on between you and Anthony?
I think this is the best.
I love it.
One, I love the justification of it sounds like this is a phrase like a Chinese proverb that made sense, that when translated into English didn't make sense, and we all just stuck with it. Like, because that to me is funny. I like that. I would liken it when I was younger. It made sense to me. It clicked when I was like, it's kind of like when you look out and there's like fresh snow, and you're like, whoa, look at all this cool fresh snow, but you want to go play in it. But if you play in it, it's gonna get all chummy and dirty and crappy, and you're like, it doesn't look as nice anymore. So it's like you want to have that freshly laid powder, but you also want to play in it. It's the same deal with the cake. You want to like
That doesn't fit on a fortune cookie.
No. You want to
It's
have
the same as dating a virgin.
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
You can't fuck your virgin and have it too.
See, that makes more sense.
That makes a lot more sense. I get that.
You can't fuck a virgin and have her not be a slut. Wait, what?
Is that right?
Does that make sense?
I'm sure to many men out there it does.
Yeah.
But no, it does
Like
not.
when a terrorist goes to heaven and like he's like at like virgin number 69, 70, 71, like there must be a lot of anxiety. He's like, oh, I've only got 2 virgins left. You know, should I fuck the non-virgin again and just like hold on to this? And God's like, look, you can't have your virgin and fuck it too. So there's only 2 left.
Can they wish for more? Is it like a genie kind of thing?
I haven't read the Quran in a while, but I think, yeah.
I was just thumbing through it.
You have to suicide bomber the last virgin, and then you get 72 more.
I mean, it really just depends on if Sinbad is playing. Oh man, this whole show has come together like a really tight improv show. Just like everything is referenced to everything else.
What was I going to? Here's something I really did, and might be a fun idea for you guys if ever you want to have fun with a friend or significant other, whatever. I bought 2 cakes for a friend of mine when I was a teenager, and on one cake it says "Have your cake," and on the other one it said "And eat it too." And the one looked really nice, and then I said, "We're only eating this one. This one we're just gonna look at." It was a goofy thing, but it was
How long
practical.
Definitely something you did.
How long did you look at it before somebody ate it?
No, I was adamant. I was like, we're not eating this cake. And it was easy to not do because it was like we had 2 cakes after we ate it. You know, the cake was ceremonial anyway. You have a slice, you're like, I'm full. Like,
But what do you eventually do with the cake?
It was 2 small cakes. It wasn't huge. I'm pretty certain we never touched it. We just threw it out. Because it was
So the expression should be always have 2 cakes.
But wait, you had your cake.
Yep.
You ate the other one. But
Correct.
then you didn't just keep the cake. You still threw it away, which is the same as eating
You
it.
still don't have the cake.
You can't
now.
ever have the cake, no matter if you eat it or not.
There was a moment where he still had the cake.
Yes,
After
if
he
you
had
eat-
eaten it.
if you
and
eat
just
it-
for that moment, it was worth it.
Oh, okay.
There was a simultaneity going on where we had a cake and we were eating it. And it was like,
So
what the fuck's going on?
That's the closest you can get because you'll never have the cake forever. But you can
Yeah.
have, if you have 2 cakes, you have that moment where you're eating the cake and you still can look at the cake and be like, I got the cake.
Brett, maybe like this.
Actually, if
They
you
say
sorry, go ahead.
they say you can't have your cake and eat it too, but I always keep an extra cake in the fridge that I never eat.
Yeah, that's the closest we've gotten to making this into a joke.
No, I like your line of the expression should be buy 2 cakes. Because that is the solution. You're like, the solution is you need to have a cake that you don't eat and you need to have a cake that you do eat. So the expression should always be buy 2 cakes. And everyone's going to just be scratching their heads and be like, what does that mean? Buy 2 cakes.
And this is very important, and we have to put this on to the expression somewhere, maybe an asterisk or something. You also can't get high because you'll just eat both cakes.
This isn't as much of an expression as it is a manual.
Turned into a manifesto. That's how we came up with the next Bible.
And that's why he bombed that hospital.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else here.
Can't have your gun and use it too.
Can't
Is
have
that, can you do something with that?
Can't ever going to use it
Oh,
too. That's why they attacked the Twin Towers. The plan was to knock down one. So
So that we
Tower.
appreciate the
I love it
tower
too.
that we still have left. But it just got so greedy.
Yeah,
It just felt so good knocking down that one tower. I could never stop at just one.
It's like Lay's potato chips.
Lay's potato chips, the Twin Towers. Oh my god!
Oh,
Give
that's
me
dark.
a break.
Well, I just wrote this down because I was going to maybe think on it for next time. But while you were doing your song, Anthony, I was thinking, like, if God was a woman, like how the culture would change when people talk about God. like, you know, you get this traffic, like, ugh, women. Like how misogynistic people would be towards God.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A
I
vengeful
didn't
God
have time to flesh it out because I was just like, that's a
God
funny
is an
thought.
emotional God instead of vengeful.
Yeah. Every time it lightnings, like, oh, God's on her period.
This is a great premise.
I like it a lot.
When God's like drowning the whole world except for everybody on Noah's Ark, people are like, God's so catty.
Yeah, I like, because I think the way it was just originally brought up was that like there are some people who think that it might be more woke to just call God a woman, but I don't know if women would want to take on that mantle. Like, have you ever read the Bible? Like, it's not a good person to want to be, and then maybe that's the start of it, and then it could also backfire for all those other reasons.
Yeah, I would like that because you know, I would be able to be like, you know, in a woke way, without trying to broadcast being woke. I would say, you know, like,
Fuck you.
But really,
I would be saying, you know, this is the reality of the way that our world is. There are so much rampant misogyny.
yeah.
And I'm calling attention to it so I can get to a funny joke.
But also the idea of calling God a woman was like the progressive of years ago, because I think now it would just be that God is gender neutral
Right.
or fluid or you know, whichever.
But I could still
would-
get, you know, but just, you know, a while ago it was really progressive. People would call
Yeah,
God.
I mean, I think the point still comes across, but it's just interesting that like if somebody was trying to make that a point now, they still wouldn't be as much of a hero as they thought they were when like, well, you know, that's
What do you
it's
mean
still
she? You don't know.
Oh, so God can only use
God
this
identifies?
bathroom?
Well, Jesus is black too, so God's son is black, so I guess God's black. Maybe.
Oh, maybe God's
put it out
baby
there.
daddy is black and God's
Yeah,
white.
Exactly.
Maybe God's a
don't know.
cuck.
Yeah.
Does God see color?
Mother Mary got breeded. They call it.
I do think, I just want to reiterate that I think that that's a very smart justification for the joke, is not, this is what I would do, but this is, because there's so much misogyny in the world, this is what the reaction would be.
Yeah, it's
I-
one of
I
the,
took it that
I
way,
guess what
but-
I'm saying is this is one of those few times where I'm like, I would happily say my real opinion here because it justifies the joke. I normally am just like keep those things to myself, and people assume that I'm misogynistic because I don't say stuff like that. But this is a situation where I'm like, this is necessary to the joke, and it is also a reality. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to be like Jarret.
But I took that.
Strap in, buddy, because it is a wild ride.
I didn't take it to mean that you believed the misogynistic things that people would say.
No, not at all. But
right.
there's normally, if I were to get to that joke without acknowledging that reality, now I'm just saying misogynistic things.
Right.
But I'm saying this is the behavior that's reality, and now I get to say stuff like people would be like God's on his period, and it's funny because that is the truth of how people would react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to end my turn there. But Rob, I wanted to ask you if you remember this because somebody asked Steve what his favorite time on the road was, and I think he was just like searching for a story during the meet and greet, and he was like, you know, when Rob Ryan is on the road, he's just like constant, like not in an exhausting way, just always doing bits. Like he's not a comic who's always on, but just always doing bits. And he was like, there was one thing that happened at a gas station with Brett and Rob, and then he asked me to tell the story, and I did my best to remember it. Do you remember this? What exactly happened? It was like, I think we just made eye contact, and then we both raced to the register.
Yeah.
And you shoulder checked the shit out of me, and then we pretended that we didn't know each other.
Didn't know each other.
To the cashier. And then we walked separate ways really far out of the way so to get to the van so it would look like we were going different ways.
Yeah. It was like we were magically on the same page in that moment. We, for some reason, we're just like, we're going to try to beat each other in some childish way. But then the decision was like, we also don't know each other, by the way.
Yeah. And then we
We're
talk
also
shit
complete
about each other to the
strangers.
cashier, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And any more specific than that, I don't remember. But I remember we were both kind of like zeroing in on the similar product, and maybe we wanted to get the same thing or whatever it was. But that was what it ultimately came down to. And she was observing everything that we did. And we just wouldn't relent. We wouldn't let her know one way or another for a fact if we knew each other or not. And we just found that super funny, you and I.
She probably told the story to somebody else later.
Oh,
would
yeah,
hope.
definitely.
I would hope.
Actually, you know what? I think I remember her being not that phased by it. I mean, I guess you work in a gas station, you see all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But it still should have struck her as weird because, like, you shoulder checked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Then I think you still paid first.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I just like accept it and then we just didn't fight after that.
Nope.
You know, we just went separate ways. Well, I lost.
That was a fun moment. I liked that.
Yeah.
I miss the road. I miss doing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, me
The
too.
road.
And I miss going to the movies. That's another big one.
Yeah, I like movies too.
I
Movies are
miss
great.
eating out at restaurants.
Not so
I know
much
you,
me.
you can kind of do it now, but
I miss having sex with women.
I think that's more your personality, right?
It's been nothing but dudes all quarantine.
Oh no. How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for watching. We just want to remind you that we have a live Zoom show coming up on February 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can get tickets at nowheretime.com. It's our second live show. Our first one was awesome. You definitely want to come check it out. We're pitching jokes live. You can laugh along with us. One member of our Patreon will get to pitch a joke as well. People contribute in the comments. It's super fun, so come check it out. February 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern. These guys have helped zero in this pitch.
Was I supposed to do something?
No,
we've been
that's
doing.
okay. No, we got it.
You can't see us doing our funny reactions to what you're saying.
It's good enough.